Well, first of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your host, Nathan Snell, Big Nate Sports Talk, Season 10, Episode 6. In this video, we are talking observations of Game 2 of the Washington Commanders versus Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the YouTube. Welcome to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Welcome. Really quick introduction. You should have by now seen Episode 5 with the Baltimore Ravens versus the Arizona Cardinals observations of Game 2. Like I said, I'm going to reiterate like I reiterated in the previous episode. We're going to continue with our WNBA coverage for the playoffs. Once the season's over, we're still going to talk football, but it's now going to be a transition. So you're going to see a couple things different with the podcast, but we're just getting ready. We're getting actually ready to transition from the WNBA to the NFL. They really have Major League Baseball playoffs, and then college football and basketball, and then NBA in there. So definitely be tuned in for that. In this video, same thing. Observations. I think it's key to really study your team, particularly with preseason, because you want to know what stands out, what can be better. And I'm actually so far really enjoying the preseason because especially being a Raven and Commanders fan, it's really interesting to see. I want to get a feel for both teams. You know, what could the Ravens improve on in this area and what could Washington improve on? So in this episode, the Washington Commanders and the Kansas City Chiefs, painfully, the Washington Commanders, we lost. Was very, very disappointing. I don't really know how to feel. No, I'm just kidding. No, we just didn't have a good game. The final score was 24-14.
What was that? What the hell was that? I'm sorry the H words and the D words aren't appropriate over the airways, but it's going to be today. I don't know how much more of this What the hell was that? Hey, what the hell? You freaking kidding me?
Okay, so couple things. I'm going to start on the offensive side of the ball for Washington. Carson Wentz. He's now had in the last 2 games, he's had 5 drives. And I think this might be the last game, in my personal opinion, for preseason. He may play game 3, don't know. So he threw 16 for 22 yards and 16 to 22 for 130 yards, no touchdowns, no picks in those 5 drafts. I think Carson looks very comfortable. His play, as I think is expected to, I think is exceeding most expectations. There is some mistakes in there. You know, for example, there was the 3rd down sack that did push out of field goal range. But you've got to look at Carson Wentz's arm strength and ability to move his ability to move the ball. I think people love to jump on the inconsistency and the inability to push the offense offensively. I think people have really kind of held that in his face, whether he was in Philadelphia or Indianapolis. And I don't think that's fair. I mean, again, we're all entitled to mistakes. Again, I understand it's a quarterback-driven league, but last time I checked, it's a team game. Antonio Gibson looked a little bit better. From what I understood, I read an article somewhere that because um, that he got benched, and Antonio Gibson responded very well, and he had the opening kickoff for 17 yards. Um, I think that could be his niche. Could be a kick returner. I don't know. No, I didn't mean article. I mean, there was the post game, excuse me, I should say, where he benched him. He talked about it. He was just disappointed with his performance, and he said even at practice he used him on special teams as a punishment, and he did well. You did have a couple starters out there. You don't have Chase Roulier because he's dealing with the fibula injury, and Benjamin St. Just. They didn't have him out there last week, so they were dealing with injuries. They both played. I believe Brandon played 20 snaps, if I'm saying that correctly. It seems like Chase is just getting right back into the swing of things. They also randomly talked about in their post game, they used the silent count. Arrowhead Stadium was packed, and Roulier said that the crowd noise had them practice their snap count, which is good because you need, especially at stadiums like Arrowhead, Fox, in New England, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Dallas. You're going to need to know those things, which is pretty good. Now the only thing is that you did have some injuries. Did have some guys that were not out there. I know Charles Leno was dealing with an injury. I think they said it was medical. Didn't specify what it was. Ty Turner was dealing with a quadriceps injury, and Wes Schweitzer is dealing with a hip injury, and then Andrew Norwell. So there was some definitely ruffling of the pieces, but for the most part, I thought the offense did okay. Now, if you pushed me, I can make a case that Tyler Heineke still could be potentially quarterback number 2. Yes, Sam Howell did do a good job of bringing Washington to life with 145 yards in passing and 2 rushing touchdowns. Yes. But when you look at Heineke, he kind of reminded that, hey, I'm still here in the building. I just don't really feel like right now to expedite Sam over Taylor. I don't think that's right now. I like to see him just continue to develop behind Carson and Taylor. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here saying that he's not ready, but I mean, let's keep it real. Like, one game, I said the last video, it's just one game. For all I know, is the next preseason game, you could throw 3 interceptions. So, I mean, for right now, it's still Carson, Taylor, and then Sam. Brian Robinson, shout out to Sean Spencer if he's watching. I will now, as of week 2, have him as my number 1 running back. Because now that you could potentially put Antonio Gibson at kickoffs, Mr. Robinson got a lot of touches. And particularly after the Carolina game, especially where Ron Rivera, we all know he criticized the style and say what he needs to do. Brian Robinson's looking really, really strong out there. I feel like he's generating positive yards, and he's trying to not extend the plays, but make the smart plays, if that makes sense. And he's definitely been a bright spot. So as of right now, it's still right now Brian Robinson, Jaret Patterson has moved down to number 2, and that is okay. But again, it's week 2. We got one more preseason game. Things could change. So Brian Robinson definitely is putting Ron Rivera and that coaching staff, Scott Turner, they're definitely making some noise for sure. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, I have some footage that I'm going to show you guys, and I think this is important. Last year, Washington finished 31st in opponents converting third down. Against Carolina, they allowed 11 out of 18 third downs to be converted. The Kansas City Chiefs converted the first 3 third downs they had. They had a 3rd and 6 that I believe was a 14-yard completion. They had a 3rd and 10 that was pass interference. And that was a ticky-tack call. And then you had another 3rd and 10, which allowed 40 yards, a 40-yard completion. We all know what Patrick Mahomes is. I know that. We all know he's magic. Get it. But this is the same Washington defense that allowed Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and PJ Walker to do the exact same thing. Yes, I will give Washington some grace. They were a bit more resistant, but third downs, that was a struggle. And they didn't get a third down stop until Kansas City took their starters out. And through the second quarter, pretty much going into halftime, they were 6 of 6 on third downs. Like that's what I saw. And that can't happen.
I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh, Lord.
Now, just looking at just the 2 preseason games, right? Where you're looking at, they've given up 24 points and 4 possessions to Carolina and Kansas City's starters. Some of that points to Jack Del Rio. And I think I think this is going to be Jack Del Rio's downfall, because to me, with those examples I gave you, you have to get off the field, and you have to be smart. You just have to think. Now, they have now started this. They have this new defensive package. I think it's called the Cinco package, which is hoping we can see some improvement. Like they haven't shown it yet. It did show last year, and it did generate pressure. But what's kind of interesting, for example, and I got some tape that'll help me with this, and I found these videos on Twitter, and you can even go back and look at last year, and I think there's just something that has to be fixed about Washington's defense, and I think it will get better as time progresses. But let me show you some tape. So the first piece of tape I'm going to show you guys, it's a offensive tackles, jump set, Montez Sweat, and Seth Williams, and the rush paths, they're cut off. So it's the timing's not great, but it was not a great start. So let me roll the footage so you guys can see this. So as you can see, you have your right tackle here, your left tackle here. Sweat and Smith Williams. The goal is to create pressure. Now watch how the left and right tackle instantly read it. See that? Now your rush paths are now instantly cut off, and you right here. You're giving Patrick Mahomes time in the pocket. The pocket is it's not collapsing. You're giving him time. He's scrambling, and right there. Now, the next piece of tape I'm going to show you guys, it's 3rd and 10. It's a 6-man pressure. There's hesitation, and you can see, I think it's I want to say it's Curl that's on the 40-yard line, and he, for some unknown reason, he hesitated. Now, I'm curious to know what was the miscommunication, because it seemed like it was miscommunication, or it just was a broken play from the get-go. So here it is. So you have here 6-man pressure. Here is Cam right here. He's literally lined up on the seam at almost 40 yards. Right here, watch. See, now right here, this is a good play. Now you see the linebacker, no one picked him up. Easy pressure to get to Mahomes, didn't get there fast enough. And I don't know what right here. This is a miscommunication. The safety should be here. He should be helping here, because he's left now his guy he's left his teammate on an island, and for a monster game. That can't happen. I thought that was that was another example. Me personally, that play shouldn't have been called. The corner should never backpedal, and is that, especially if you're in the deep middle, like you got to know where the ball is going. You got to communicate, and that's something you just didn't see. That was a bad play. He definitely bit underneath the route, and he definitely came over the top for sure. Now, looking at the next piece of footage, and I think this is just another example, but this was I'll use the Carolina one for example. It was a 3rd and 5, and Baker Mayfield read it perfectly, and actually he knew who he was going to target the most on this particular play. So here's the play. So you kind of see pressure here. You kind of see a blitz. Kind of have the 6 kind of right here. It's going to be the rush pass. Let's see the tackles read it. So you could see Baker very quickly. He made a split second decision. He got to his target very fast on a 3rd and 5. See, it's little things like that Jack Del Rio will have to clean up. And as time will progress, I think it will get better. I just think that from what I've seen the first 2 games, they are not on the same page. The pass rush definitely has to develop. I'm seeing a lot of time that's being allowed for quarterbacks to find the open receiver, and the secondary is getting beat to the punch way too fast. And again, I feel like their package that they showed last year, it can work, but I'm just not sure what this is at the moment. I just think that it goes back to Jack Del Rio. So that was what I saw. And again, it's just preseason. I know I'm probably beating a dead horse on it. I know some people are going to say, that shouldn't be your focus, but that's great observations that you see from the Washington football team. Now, on the Kansas City side, I had him in the first round, Mr. George Kalafdis. He definitely will be a steal for the Kansas City Chiefs. It was interesting when you read his scouting report, lack of twitch and bend. That's made no sense, but okay. The 2 preseason games that he has been on, he's played, he's had a sack, and that he got one in the second quarter against us, Washington. We all know he came out of that school, Purdue. We know he has his ball rushing ability is one of the best, and again, his abilities to work through double teams, and he's definitely proving he can be a best pass rushing in out of his draft class for years to come. Now, for Kansas City, the defensive tackles. I looked at the roster before I started the video. They've got some guys other than Chris Jones that are definitely can make some noise. I saw they have a guy named Derek Nandi, Tashard Wharton, Khalil Saunders. They've definitely got some competition there for sure. I know, for example, I think the last minute of the first half, Saunders got Tyler Heineke on the chest, and I know he got Sam Howell in the third quarter, and then also too he was very versatile by dropping back into zone coverage. So he definitely is someone that can make some noise. I mean, I don't even think Wharton even. I look at the stats. I don't even think Wharton even had a tackle or quarterback pressure. So again, it's just the literally game 2 of the preseason. So you just got to game 3 things could change. For all I know is Tashawn could have 3 sacks in game 3 of this preseason. Now it's interesting to know what Kansas City will look like offensively, particularly in the red zone. Now that Tyreek Hill's not there, now you've got to figure out how many wide receivers or tight ends that you'll have out there. And in that red zone, they like to run that 13 personnel cheat code. They've definitely got some options. Jody Fortson, he had 2 touchdowns. Noah Gray, who was the 5th round pick in last year's draft. They've definitely have some options who could potentially be within that red zone offense. So that's something also to keep your eyes on if you're Kansas City Chiefs fans. Now also too, I noticed that they are still figuring out some things defensively at linebacker, who could be the 3rd potential linebacker. Now Nick Bolton is their new, I guess you could say he's their new quarterback on the defensive side of the ball. You've got Willie Gay Jr., who's also, I think, going to pay well to be. I think he knows his role. And you had someone named Elijah Lee out there who started, and then you had someone named Jermaine Carter and Leo Chinell, like Elijah Carter. Jeremiah Carter. Excuse me. I apologize. He definitely is very mobile. He definitely can help in coverage. I know he played for the Panthers, and I think he will do well in some zone schemes for the Kansas City. Right now, with the secondary, that definitely has some work. I feel like they have a linebacking core potentially that can hold their own weight. Now, I had to do my YouTube search on Leo. He's definitely a tackler, and he definitely brings a physical side of the game that I think Jermaine may not have. And then I think they're both different, but I think they can definitely benefit from each other. He did lead the team with 7 tackles, if I remember correctly. Looking at the stat sheet against Chicago last week, he had 6 solo tackles, and I think he had 2 for a loss. So Steve Spinagala will definitely have fun with that one. And as of right now, for special teams, it looks like Sky Moore may be the guy for right now. Miko Hartman, we all know now that Tyreek Hill is gone, we all know Miko Hartman is definitely going to be taking on a bigger role. And because last season he's the returner. You had numerous players looking at the highlights of who was returning. But Saturday, Sky Moore was in charge of that. Sky Moore will have a good rookie campaign. He has not really gotten a lot of targets, and as of right now, his skill set we have not seen it, what it could look like right now on the NFL field. Going into this draft, I had him in my first round mock draft. He's got great hands. He's very shifty, especially with his route running. He will need some time to develop his route running, particularly in the offense. I think he will definitely contribute. Just got to give him time. So that's what I saw from the Kansas City Chiefs as a whole, and the Washington Commanders. If I have to give the Washington Commanders a grade, I will say a C+. Kansas City, a B. That would be my preseason grades for both teams for the games. So, other than that, like I said, it's a second game of the preseason, nothing spectacular. Things can change in game 3 for both teams. Like I said, the Washington Commanders and the Baltimore Ravens are playing in game 3. That's this upcoming Sunday. I'm saying that correctly? If I'm not, I have that wrong. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure I have that right. Saturday. I apologize. It's this upcoming Saturday. So, like I said, I'll be there for that game. And then once I have that game situated, what I will do is we'll do a 53 projected 53-man roster for Baltimore and Washington. In the meantime, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Sonny Jurgensen III. He will have his jersey retired. They're going to retire his jersey against that team in Dallas, Week 18. Number 9 will be out of circulation for Washington. Mr. Sonny, NFL champion, 1960, All-Pro, 3-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, 5-time passing yards leader. I think he also, if I remember this correctly, he led 2 seasons of touchdowns, best passer rating. He's on the All-60s decade team. He's in the Eagles Hall of Fame. He's also in the Washington's Ring of Honor as well. and he has the record of 99 yards in passing. I think he was, from saying this correctly, he was the fourth quarterback at the time when he made the 99-yard pass to Jerry Allen against the Chicago Bears. I believe the final score was 38-28, if I'm saying that correctly. Congratulations to Mr. Sonny and what he's done for Washington, not just Washington, but Philadelphia, but what he's did for the league. Definitely underrated, in my opinion, as a quarterback. Definitely played for Washington for 10 years. He started with Philadelphia in 1957, and he went to Washington in 1964, finished his career in 1974. And fun fact, his career passing rating is the highest than any other quarterback in the dead ball era. That's before 1978, if I'm saying that correctly. So congratulations, Mr. Sonny. But that's going to conclude the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Be tuned in for future episodes. Like I said, be tuned in for WNBA coverage, WNBA playoff coverage. Week 1 of NFL is almost here. Baseball, we're getting ready for September. And then college basketball, college football, be tuned in for those as well. Like I said, as soon for the Washington Mystics, Coach T has his media availability call. I will have that video out for you as soon as possible. But until then, we're just going to continue to just put out great content, and whether it's shorts, whether it's anything, doesn't matter. So please like, comment, subscribe, share the podcast. Again, check me out on Spotify. You can also find me on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other sites like that. Subscribe. Please leave a review. It helps me, helps the channel grow. And leave your thoughts in the comments below. Again, how's your team doing this so far in the preseason? Who are you what are your expectations for your team this upcoming season? But until then, I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good night. I'm going to enjoy Game 3 of round 2, the Chicago Sky versus the New York Liberty. I'm going to enjoy this game. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace. Stay up.
But I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. Thanks for the kind words. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bring your sports game on Big Nate Sports Talk.